Welcome to the February Room, where we talk shop, tie flies, and share the fishing stories you never heard. I'm Lauren Carnop, your host, and this is the February Room. Presented by CD Fishing USA. Innovative construction equals exceptional performance. Visit cd-fishing.us and follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And remember to go fishing. Welcome to the February Room. I am sitting with Go West Outfitters owner Jenny West. And this is a first for me, Jenny. We are sitting right by a river, beautiful day, keeping our distance.
6 feet.
6 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am an outfitter and a fly fishing guide here in the Bitterroot Valley. Grew up in Hamilton, so I'm kind of a Bitterroot girl. Went to high school here, came back, tried to run a business with my family, didn't like it. Loved fly fishing, fished with my dad growing up all my life, and I decided to start guiding in 2002 up until 2016. And I decided to start my own outfitting business, Go West Outfitters. Love fishing and showing people the beauty of this river and showing them the art of fly fishing.
You know, I feel like it's very rare these days to find a Montana native, and not even just a Montana native, but a Hamilton native.
Right.
I feel like you get a bunch, like a big old badge,
I know. It is weird to be kind of the one that has stayed here and grew up here. A lot of people are coming from out of state. A lot of guides and outfitters are from other areas, and Missoula is a big draw as well with the university. But it is rare, and I'm proud to say that I've seen this valley back when it was a desert. There was nobody here. It was a little cow town. I came home in '96 from college, and I was just like seeing like there was nobody here that was my age, and I just stuck it out and take a step forward and be a guide as well. It was a hard decision to say, and as a female it was hard. Sometimes I felt like I was the last person on the dodgeball team to get picked to guide clients, and back then in the early 2000s, I mean, there was no women doing this at all. I mean, now we've got a lot more women getting involved, which is awesome. We've got lots of women who are forming groups on Facebook and having groups for fishing clubs and that kind of thing, and I think it's awesome.
Have you ever had any experiences of having people challenge your knowledge in that, or is there a different kind of level of pressure?
A little bit, yeah. I think too, just being a woman and not being as strong as a big man who can row, heavy, that it is kind of challenging in that respect. 2 years ago we had some issues on the river. We had a lot of portages and blockages and with logs, and it was my first time saying, gosh darn it, I wish I was a guy that can just heave my raft over this log and get down the river. But I feel like it's not about strength in the end. It's about finesse and physique, and I row over 100 days on the river, and it's a lot of work, but I think I have a lot more. I have patience. I think the women's perspective on the river is a lot different than just catching big fish all the time, and I'm not trying to stereotype men at all, but it's a little bit different how I think I see the river, and just also being from here too. I offer kind of a uniqueness to my business, and I think a lot of it's personality too. I mean, you can be a fishy person all you want, but you also have to be able to connect to your clients, and I guess I'm hoping that's what happens when I have clients that keep coming back every year to fish with me. That's always a good sign when you have repeat business that comes back. But I haven't really felt challenged at all. I mean, I've had some clients who think they know more than me and might challenge that a little bit. And after a certain time, after saying a certain amount of times to use this fly and they don't want to use it, it's okay. Let them try it. And if it doesn't work, that's fine. But I've never felt, intimidated.
Most any guide who I have talked to, they always have that one client who's going to challenge them on the river.
There's always that one
no matter
client.
The sex of it. If you're a male, they're going to challenge you because they're kind of a bit of a jerk, The
difference between going to the dentist or going fishing, you're excited to get on the water. With the dentist, you're like, you can offset your grumpiness real quickly around the river. People are just so happy, and I actually think the river is healing, and you hear the water running, and it just makes you just melt. And I think it's so important for people to put away the devices, live in the now, and that's what I love about fishing. You cannot be distracted for 1 second because you'll miss that great hookup, you know?
Yeah, it's so true. And you also have to just be patient and like looking at the water and feel that like small little tug.
Yeah.
Just a tiny tug. It's all about feeling and
seeing, and the sensory overload is just so amazing. So I think people at that point just kind of let go and they just submit to what is on the river, and that's what I love about it. I call myself a memory maker. I just love how people will say, "Oh, Jen, remember that one day last year we caught that 18-inch rainbow over in that?" I was like, "Oh yeah," like you love to make that memory so exciting. 'Cause I remember when I was a kid, I was guided a few times as a kid, and I still to this day am just like, "Oh, I remember those days. I remember that day so well. I was so excited." And so you got to like always think about how the client feels being on your boat. And yeah, you can be out there busting your butt, day 8 in a row in July when it's 90 degrees out and you're tired. But these clients come from all over the country and they're just so excited. And that's what I have to set aside is like, it's about the connection with the people and making their day special.
Was there a moment that made you think, this is what I'm going to do? I'm going to be a guide?
Kind of progressed into some multiple things. My dad and I fish a lot together, and he has a lot of friends that are guides still. And so we'd go fishing together, and they would always say, "Jen, you'd be a great guide. You row us well." I mean, it's, I'm with my dad and his friends, I'm rowing, and you know how it's just like, oh, you just hope you do the right thing and give everybody the water they need to get on. And then another good friend of mine who was an outfitter, he is actually handicapped, but he told me, he's like, "Jenny, you've got to become a guide. You've got to become a guide. You will be amazing." And, and so I think with just some kind of talking through and getting the nudge to just kind of jump off that diving board, I decided to jump in, and I kind of did it part-time. I worked for a few outfitters and just did a few days a week. And I actually, at the same time, I still had a retail store in town. I remember walking into the store one day and I just said, "Mom, I'm done. We need to stop. I'm going to be a guide full time. I'm going to go for it." And I just knew with the experience and just the guides that I had that were my friends, they gave me trips. I got on some big groups right away. I worked for Triple Creek Lodge and the stock farm a little bit, so those were good to kind of get my confidence up. And then it just kind of unfolded, and I never looked back.
Do you have like one of those really special memories that you have catching a fish?
Just a few, 2 Junes ago, I fished the salmon fly hatch with 2 women, and it was a total greasy, rainy day. Totally horrible. Like, it would not be a day that most people want to go fishing. It was raining solid in town. And I just told the girls, I said, "Look, we can do a little short half day. If you guys want to pull the plug, we'll just go home." And I said, I'm feeling low. I could feel weather. I mean, as a guide, you start to feel temperatures and pressures and stuff. I remember being outside, walking my dog that morning, and I thought something's going to give. I could feel something giving, like a little bit of the lift of the rain. And I said, I'm feeling like it's going to get better as the day goes on. So we decided to go. We go way up the West Fork. It's on this random, like a Saturday, raining. Nobody's fishing because it was just junk. People were not into it. And the river was still in good shape. Hadn't risen that much from the rain. So we go, and the rain stopped, and it was a salmon fly hatch in June. And we had one of the most spectacular days I've ever experienced. And it was just like that magic moment where everything just kind of came together. And actually, my biggest fish of my career was landed on that day. And I tell you, the gal, her name's Cece, she casted into this little sliver behind a rock, the salmon fly, and this huge fish ate it. I mean, I remember seeing the head, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And we were going through this huge rapid. There was no stopping this boat. I had to go down river probably a quarter of a mile, and I was just like, keep your rod tip up. Keep your rod tip up. And she kept it up, and she used to steal a fish, so she knew how to deal with big fish. But here we're on 3X tippet, running through this huge rapid, rod tip straight up, I mean, you can still see the fish is coming with us, and I was trying to slow the boat down as much as I could, just kind of keep that fish out of trouble. We had this rock garden, come around this big corner. I tried to grab an eddy to slow the boat down. The fish is just like going by. We go down, chase the fish downstream, rod tips up still, drop into another eddy, and finally got this fish in, and I about leap a brick. This fish was this huge, beautiful cut bow hen, 23 inches long. We measured it. I have a little ruler on my cooler. I measured it, and it was probably one of the most magical moments. And at that point, we were just shaking. The girls and I were just like, I couldn't even talk after that moment. And it was just so amazing to have that fight for a quarter. You know, like she had to really hang on. I mean, just hoping that fish was going to come with us, and it did. Because it was rocks, everything that could go wrong, you know, and she just, boom, got it landed, and thank God, and got a great picture of it. The moment was just special. And nobody was there. It was like this weird thing. And I think, honestly, the rain was making salmon flies drop. I just felt this thing in my gut that said, we should go. And my friends, my clients, one of them is one of my good friends. Well, they both are friends, but she just said, okay, we're doing it. I was like, your gut just said something, and let's go for it, you know.
Now, are your clients a lot of returning clients, or taking more new clients in?
Yeah, both. I have a really strong repeat business. I'd say my guiding for me on the sticks rowing, I'd say over 80% is repeats, which is pretty cool. And I'm getting a lot of people who are hearing about me, and they'll book, and I can get them on a guide underneath me, which is good. So if I'm booked, I can call on a guide list and get them booked underneath me. So I'm starting to book more days than me, which is pretty cool. And I'm trying to take care of my really important client, because you become family. I mean, that's the thing too. Once you guide these people over years and years, you become like a family member. I mean, they invite you to their dinners. I mean, I got invited to one of my clients' 50th wedding anniversary last December. I mean, just like things like that, you become part of their family, and it's really fun. And then they'll bring like their grandkids out, and it kind of expands from just my repeats, which is really special. And I feel blessed. I never would have thought this would have happened. And I mean, as a young girl, I was so timid, so shy. I mean, I'm extroverted, as you can see now.
Yeah.
But you know, to talk to people, even talking to men. I mean, when I was started to guide, I was like, wow, I'm telling these guys to cast and mend over there. You know, it's weird to tell that as a woman to a man. I think the more you get confidence, it just helps you find who you are, you know. And I think it's been good for me to get out of my little shell and be Jenny West, Go West Outfitters.
You know, I find it really, just saying that, how empowering it must be to be a female. And it's obvious, it's so hard not to say this isn't a male-dominated sport.
Oh, yeah,
it's a very male-dominated sport.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, when I was learning how to fly fish, I kind of thought, well, there's no way I can ever be an angler. I'm too late to the game. And the more I go out there and fish, the more I'm trying to teach myself that I can learn new things. Mm-hmm. For women who come to our state, or even who live in this state, mm-hmm. and never fly fish, how do you give them the encouragement to come out and go fishing?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think women, it's so encouraging to have more women fishing. I actually, every spring, I put on a women's fly fishing clinic. And I asked them the question, what brought you to my clinic today? And most of them were like, well, my partner fishes and I want to learn how to fish, or I can't learn from my husband, or my grandfather fished and I found his old fly rod, I want to pick it up. And it's so cool to see women be like, I can do this too. It doesn't take strength to be a fly fisherman. It doesn't. And it just, in fact, and I think too, the fact that women are patient and we can learn this sport so much differently. It's not about just throwing that cast out and using your shoulder. I mean, it's just this nice little pick up and drop kind of cast, and you don't need all this strength. And once you get the knowledge of knots, what kind of gear do you want, where are you going to fish, and then getting them on the water they want to be on, I think it's empowering them. And it's been fun watching my clinic and the girls that come and see them out and about, and they're like, oh my God, we're so happy to your clinic. We learn all these things. And it's very beginnery. It's basically, tying knots, what rods, what equipment you need, and just getting the basic cast going. But it's great.
There's this amazing picture, because I've been stalking you on Instagram. There's a picture of you with 3 fish.
Oh yeah, we got a triple. Oh,
yeah.
What happened was my client got a fish right away. Her partner was in the back. He got a fish. And I think while we netted one of them, she went back to fish. We netted the other one in the same net. She got a fish. Boom. Got all 3 netted. It was like in this fast little riffle. It was super cute. And so we pulled up all these fish, and it was just this like perfect storm. That never happens, but that was kind of tough netting too, by the way. That wasn't easy.
See, multitasking.
Yeah, exactly. Dropped the anchor, netted both of them on.
Do you fish all around Montana, or do you kind of stick to?
I'm on the Bitterroot bubble. I'm a Bitterroot girl. Bitterroot world, like Madonna, material world. I'm the Bitterroot girl. I like the Bitterroot. It's hard. I live here. I've guided on the Clark Fork, the Blackfoot before. It's hard to leave rising fish when there's people here. My clients are based out of here, so it's hard to just like jump in the car and let's go up to Missoula.
What makes the Bitterroot so special?
Probably because I just know it. I'm sure every river's special. I mean, I like the hatches we have here. I like that it's a little smaller than like the Clark Fork. I like how it's ever changing. There's so much woody debris, and every high water year it can flush out. Like this log will probably be gone.
Yeah.
Just love how it's never the same every year. Even now you float, there's a beaver flopped over a log or whatever, but high water really makes this river dynamic, and it's kind of neat.
Well, and I think there's a total pro to that, because if you are coming to go fishing and you're like, dude, I want the highest chances of catching a fish, and this river so well, you know what I mean? It's the back of your hand. Not that you can never promise someone fish, but you can promise them a quality understanding of the river.
It's neat. We've got a lot of great dry fly action too. A lot of hatches here, which is really fun. But yeah, I mean, I'm based here. If I lived in Missoula, it would probably be a different story. If I lived in Stevie, maybe I'd be guiding up more towards the north end of the valley. But yeah, I love it here, so it's home.
But you've also had your opportunity to leave Hamilton and fish to Christmas Island.
Yeah, I went last year with Dave Cook's deal, Skinny Waters.
How was that?
Oh, it was, in fact, a year ago from the day we were there. It's so crazy.
How much things have changed?
It was crazy. I mean, I've never saltwater fished before. I had no idea what I was getting into, and we all caught fish. We all had a great time. It was so third world country. That area is just, wow, amazing to be immersed in a place where, it's very poor. That was sad, that part, but the nice thing, they had guides that were local. The resort had all the local people there. They were all so happy, and very, very happy people over there. It was awesome, and the fishing was incredible. I mean,
do you have a memory from that trip?
I caught the last day of our trip, I was trying to get a triggerfish, and I hadn't gotten one yet, and I've missed a ton, and they were so hard to catch, and I was so mad at myself. And it was like the last day, the last hour of us being out there, I finally caught a triggerfish. And in fact, we had a film made about our trip. Yeah, and she got it on film, and it was kind of this neat, it was really, really a cool capturing moment. And every challenge that came about, casting in the wind, trying to hear these guides talk, their language was very different from ours. I mean, they only knew a few certain things. It was like, bone, 30 yards, 12 o'clock, and you're like looking, you're like, what is he saying? And like he'd point with the other rod, and you're just like, and that took time to kind of get the eyes for bonefish. It's like finding morel mushrooms in the forest. Once you see them, you're like, oh, okay, yeah,
You know what you're looking for.
Yeah, so it was really, really cool. It was all walking way. It was no fishing from a boat. It was all get out of the boat, you're walking for 3 or 4 hours, coming back for lunch, walking again for 3 hours. And so your days are pretty exhaustive, standing and looking for fish and hanging out, We all had a great time. All the girls caught fish. It was pretty unique.
How
really
cool. So it was all
girls,
all
yep.
women.
8 of us went.
What made you guys spark going with all women?
Well, it was myself and Peg Miskin, who lives here. She's actually a good friend of mine. She works for Casting for Recovery and does their fundraising. But she moved here, and we were just talking. We should do a salt trip. And then she saw Dave cook in Missoula. And so it just kind of all steamrolled after that, after Dave told her about the Skinny Waters and this lodge, and we just moved on it pretty fast. I think within a few months we learned about this and then booked it out for that next April. It was pretty cool. And we started to invite all women, and we had the photographer Jessica Hadal Richardson, who's a famous photographer, did the filming of the trips, which is pretty cool.
Oh, I want to check out that video.
Yeah, it was actually played at the 50-50 on the Water Women's Orvis thing, premiered at the beginning, which was pretty cool. So
Epic.
Yeah, epic. It was epic.
My gosh. So how do people find you, reach you if they want to be in touch?
Yeah, I'm not out of a fly fishing shop, but I do have a web page, fishgowest.com. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well. If you just Googled Go West Outfitters Hamilton, you'd find me pretty quickly. So I do a lot. That's probably my main pull, is just from people finding me on the web and referrals and that kind of thing. So,
well, and right now, unfortunately, I don't know what the future will hold with the coronavirus. Yeah. Do you have any insight to how?
It's just day to day.
Are you just taking any clients, or are you just saying, hold up, let's wait, let me get your contact information?
Yeah, if they're booking for the summertime, I'm booking it. I'm hopeful that in the next 4 to 5 weeks, this will be unfolding more and more. I mean, it's just been hard to navigate everything with this. And tourism's such a huge draw to our state that it's hard to think that as our state, we keep this shut down for that, because it's a huge pull, but then it also can open up all these leaks from outsiders coming in with the virus and da-da-da. So I am booking up for the summer, and it's just a matter of, just seeing what happens. And if it's still not advised, we just maybe book the trip later on in the summer into the fall or October or whatever. It's all we can do at this point. I've got some groups coming out in June, and I'm nervous because some of them are older, and you just don't know they're going to all come.
Well, I hope that we get the opportunity to maybe even social distance fly fish.
Yeah.
On the Bitterroot.
Look at this.
I mean, we can do it, and we can invite bunch of women, all skill levels.
Absolutely.
I think we should do it.
Yeah, it'd be fun to have like a little women's retreat with open up like a little lodge or Airbnb and just book some rooms and have people come and hang out.
Yeah, instead of like a every once a month book club, maybe it's a once a month fish club,
Yeah.
Sounds a lot more fun than a book club right now.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing about Montana, just having the access to these rivers is just so amazing,
Oh,
gosh.
Just sitting here and looking at the mountains and the sun's hitting our face, it just doesn't seem like, feels like we're taking advantage of something. We're doing something wrong because it feels too good.
I know, and then you think about the world right now and the pandemic, and you're just like, wow, here we are,
Yeah, just feels good to just kind of sit down and just kind of reflect on feel good motions and stuff until you get back into your car and get into the real world again.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much, Jenny, for talking with me today.
Well, thank you.
We'll get on the river.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Want to know how to tie a bitterroot bug? Go to our blog at cd-fishing.us. And remember to go fishing.